Welcome back to another episode of the M3 Supercar Killer Rebuild presented by Turn 14 Distribution. Today we're going to hard mount up the 2J with these brackets. T-Rex Dave is coming to get you. If you watched, was it 2 episodes ago, Pete, where we introduced the 2JZ to everyone?
I think it was.
If you watched that one, then you'll know we talked about actually making our own engine mount brackets. We just kind of jumped to the conclusion that that was maybe the way to go on this. But it turns out someone from Freed Engineering was watching and they said, wait a minute guys, we make engine mount brackets for this swap. You don't have to do all that work, we'll do it for you. And we were more than happy to take them up on that generous offer. So they sent us this engine bracket kit. And as you can see, there's an R on it right here. That's what we call Dave proofing a product. So you know which side of the motor to put it on. I'm gonna say motor rather than chassis. It's gotta be the same thing, doesn't it, Peter? So as you can see, these are made of a laser cut 3/16 thick plate steel. It's TIG welded and powder coated in this gloss black finish. And they look awfully nice. And they're gonna make life awfully easy for me and Pete as far as mounting this motor up and the chassis goes. So thank you, Freed Engineering, for that. And they also sent over a couple of transmission cross members or mounting brackets. This is their standard R154 transmission bracket, and that's offered because that's the most popular transmission to use with this swap. So it's a very affordable transmission. It makes a lot of sense that people are using it for this swap. And as you can see, it's got the Toyota style mount on it, so it's designed to work with the factory bushing on that transmission. However, since we're going with the 6-speed out of our M3 on this, they actually had this prototype available for us, which as you can see has the BMW style mounts here, which means it's going to bolt up to our transmission and use the factory style mounts. They also just tack welded these on here being a prototype so that if we need to move these slightly to adjust fitment, that we have the option to do that. So that's pretty exciting to have that job tackled too, because that just saved us like, what,
a lot of work.
3 days work probably?
Yeah.
Maybe more?
Ish, but
As far as engine mounts go, I should mention that these brackets are designed to use the factory style E46 engine mounts. So we've opted for these rubber style mounts from Bimmer World. These are apparently very similar in stiffness or durometer to the Group N mounts, which cost $800. And these do not cost $800.
A lot of money.
These are a lot less. These are like a quarter of the price, I think.
they're $200.
$200.
Yeah.
And as you can see, they have a very OEM look to them. They look very much like the OE mounts. They even have these little tabs on them here for the heat shield to be lined up properly. It has like an anti-shear technology built into here so that the bolt positions can't shear off. They spent thousands of dollars actually making tooling to have these produced to a very like high OE quality type standard. They are of course much stiffer than the stock ones. We want to reduce as much engine movement, drive line movement as we can with this motor, because when the motor's rocking around, you can have a lot of imprecision happening in the shifter, and you can money shift it. And on a 2J, it's maybe not as expensive as shifting on an S54, but it still wouldn't be fun to do. So this will help cure that problem, and frankly, just give you a more sort of a direct line for power to go from the motor to the rear tires, and we like that. Less drivetrain losses is a good thing. And on the transmission mount side of things, we have these mounts from Rogue Engineering.
And they also came from Bimmer World.
These also came from Bimmer World,
yeah.
Okay. And if you know what the OE ones look like, they have like an hourglass shape to them. So they're very like narrow through the middle section, and that allows them to deflect a lot, where these more cylindrical style bushings, which use a harder rubber, have a lot less deflection in them. And that just goes back to the same theory of reducing slop in the drivetrain means you're going to have more precise shifting action and less likely of the old money shift happening. So I think that kind of covers how we're going to mount this motor up, Pete. I think it's maybe time to fit these brackets up.
Yes, I'm excited. Let's do this. And just like that, we have our left side on. And as you can see, Freed has designed these engine mounts to sit this engine as low and as far back as possible and to clear all the OEM stuff. Such as this massive oil filter housing, but I am actually going to be deleting this, and there's good reason to that, because this setup actually is way too big, and it makes changing the oil filter a bit of a nuisance. But more importantly, we want to run an oil cooler, and in doing so, we don't really have any provision to put a sandwich plate on here. It's just going to make everything bigger and bulkier, and we really don't need this whole coolant setup here that comes from the factory, and that's there just to make sure to warm the oil up if a car is cold and whatnot. So we're gonna delete this whole entire housing setup here. The key to converting over to a thermostatic oil sandwich plate is you need a threaded pipe. I bought this off of Driftworks, which is specifically for the 2JZ, and it threads in as such. And actually Driftworks has a ton of cool 2JZ swap products out there. And that goes on that. This goes on like here, and we now have ourselves a provision for an oil cooler and oil filter, which brings up my next question here. My conundrum here is I'm not sure which size oil filter to use. I've got two different K&Ns here, and obviously this one is just a little bit shorter, and we're wondering, you know, does this not filter as well? Or is this gonna drop too much oil pressure because it's a larger size? But we were thinking that's not really the case. This is the factory sized one, so it's pretty much this size, but do we wanna go to this one for the extra filtration? So we're not exactly sure. Post in the comments, tell us what you think we should do. For now, I think we're just gonna put on this guy right here and just fit it up, and then we are finally ready to try to install this thing. Our initial mock-up here has caused a little bit of a problem. We are not even close on the engine mounts. So I see we're hanging up on some hoses, you can hear. The heater hoses are causing a problem. I can see the intake manifold is rubbing against this little piece of metal here that goes around the booster. So I think we're gonna remove this and remove the heater hoses, just kind of clear everything out of the way, and then see if we can just get this in, and then we'll worry about all that other stuff. The heater hoses are all off. I've also stripped back the wire loom here, so we're pretty free and clear. You can see we were rubbing up against this piece of sheet metal here. My buddy Mike Cattell, who actually has a 2J, I think it's a 1J swap.
1.5 actually.
All right,
yeah.
So it's an E46 M3 with a 1.5 swap, 2J, JZ.
1.5J, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And he said to bend this up. So I'm just gonna take this and give it a little bit of a tweak. Oh yeah, there you go.
Snap.
Look at that. Well, you just need something the right diameter, and it's aluminum.
Yep.
So we've tweaked it up a little bit. That may be just the clearance we need. So let's try this again. Attempt number 2 here, and we're getting closer. We are about an inch away from getting this lined up. However, I've run into what I see as a potential problem. Our PMC adapter has added that extra inch of thickness, and I can see it's hitting the firewall at the back, so we're kind of as far back as we can go right now. So I think what we're gonna have to do is some hammering of the firewall in this area here first. I've now cut out some of the sound deadening here, which means it is time for the big sledgehammer. And that is because we were having contact in this area, and I spoke to a couple people, and they said it did need to massage the firewall here. So let's just get down to this. I've roughly marked where we need to bang it in. See how this goes, and hopefully I don't split the firewall. I did this on my 240 a long time ago, and you do have to be careful, because if you smash hard enough, it will literally split the metal. All right, guys, so I think I've done a decent job clearancing this area and here, so it is time for another test fit. Oh, that's it. It's as far as she's going back, and we're still not where we need to be. So I think it's back to the drawing board. What we're gonna do is take the gearbox off, and because I see there's a bit of another contact point around the back side of the transmission, because we're just moving the transmission back far enough where it was molded perfectly to the chassis in terms of the side frame rails there, and now they're hitting, so we might have to do a little bit more banging. But anyways, what I want to do is take the gearbox off, get this engine mounted up with these mounts, and then we can look at what's going to work here, because realistically the thing is the PMC adapter, I'm not sure necessarily works with the Freed engine mounts. Those two are two different products. They weren't designed together. So I'm sure we can make it work. It's just gonna be a little bit more banging and a little bit more scratching our heads. And here is our culprit. We are hung up really badly on the adapter to the side of the Firewall here. The stud here has also gotta go. And that's why the engine's just twisted a little bit. So I'm hoping that it comes back this way, because as you can see, we got tons of space here. We've got very little space here for a gearbox. However, I think the engine is also tilted upwards, so this should come down a bit once this clears here, and we should have a little bit more space to work with. But I predict a lot more banging out of all this here and this here. You can see on this side, this has actually been rubbing on the gearbox here as well. So lots of small issues, but we are gonna get there. All right, well, I think that is almost where we want to be. I'm not sure, but man, I've got to say BMW did a good job on these reinforcement plates here, because they are stiff. Most cars, they just buckle right in, but these have been fighting us. Looks like we've got a good amount of clearance now with all of that hammer work. So let's see if we can fit up the gearbox here. And it's not necessarily the clearance that I'm worried about, it's the depth now that I think is going to be an issue. Big moment here, engine and transmission is hung. And as you guys saw, what we did was we figured, you know what, we'll drop the subframe, bolt the transmission on and put everything up, and that seems to have worked. We have ourselves a 2JZ and a 6-speed E46 M3 gearbox hanging. It is incredibly tight. However, the massaging that we did to the Firewall has worked. We don't have any issues. I can't see anything touching there, which is nice. In the rear, we've mounted up our prototype Freed Engineering transmission mount, and it's close. It's a little bit off, so we're gonna have to notch, I think, the transmission mounts here to move this just a little bit backwards, so there's not a lot there. However, we do have a slight issue, and that is that you can see these actually aren't sitting close enough to being bolted up. Like, this gearbox has to come down, and in order to come down, it is hanging up somewhere up front, and that's either on the back of the Firewall or somewhere. So we've got to figure that out, because right now I can see this gearbox is just a little bit too far up high. As you can see, we've got contact with this piece of sheet metal here, so I am removing it. If you look back here, right at the back, you can see it's touching right there. So we've got a little bit of contact with the valve cover in the back of the Firewall. So that may be something we're gonna have to look at. There's also a coolant pipe right there that's touching. So those are things we're gonna have to figure out here, because we cannot have that. But I do love how far back and tight this engine is sitting. Like, I think it's actually even further back than the S54. I also pulled this piece here, and you know what? Look at this. We've got free movement.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think we are officially down in that area, or the transmission is down low enough where we can probably get the transmission mount. So progress is being made. We are jumping back and forth here, but that's kind of how it goes when you're looking at fitment. And we've got our freed transmission cross member right here with our Rogue Engineering mounts on, and everything lines up. However, it's just a little bit too high, because when we fit up our guibo here, as you can see, it's so close to the shifter. So we're gonna have to space this down a bit, and that's why they actually didn't fully weld these on. Like, I can just cut the tack welds off and move this down, which is nice. So what we're gonna do is for the time being, I'm just gonna actually put a couple of washers just to get this lined up and figured out so we can test out the drive shaft. And while we're at it, we're actually gonna replace this cracked old BMW Guibo with one from Dorman, which I just noticed is pretty much OE. Look at it, it says Gab 82 on it, and that says Gab 82. The only difference is it doesn't have the BMW stamp. So OE quality from Dorman, awesome. Good job, guys. And as you can see, if I put this on, now we've got about, man, a 1/4 of an inch clearance there. So I think we're gonna be good with that. So I'm gonna get this bolted on and we're gonna see if this drive shaft fits. Here's the moment of truth. Just how much shorter are we here? Let's see. So if I rotate this guy around here, slide this on. Okay, so that's our, oops. I should be the other way. Here we go, all right.
Whoop.
Yeah, this is a tough little thing to do here.
Why don't we get Moose involved?
All right, where's the moose? Get the moose in here.
Yeah, I can just hold this here out of the way.
Look, everyone, it's a moose.
And, well, have a look at that, people. Oof. We are about 3 to 4 inches too short.
Too long.
We are going to have to come up with an aftermarket solution here. So actually, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Should we shorten this, because this is a 2-piece, so we can shorten the front half here, or should we just get a 1-piece made? I'm starting to think 1-piece is the way to go, because A, it'll transfer the power better, and B, I'm not necessarily sure, like we're right in this transition point where we would have to shorten this up to, so I don't know how you'd do that. But anyways, post in the comments, let me know what you think and if you have some solutions. I think all in all, this is a pretty wicked victory here. We have ourselves a engine and transmission that are hung. So I think we're gonna wrap it right here. And I know this episode wasn't full of cool parts or anything, but I hope you got a real glimpse into mounting a gearbox and an engine out of a Toyota Supra into an E46 M3. And it's definitely not easy. That's why I don't think everybody's doing them, but it's also not difficult. Like Freed makes this mount kit, which makes it so much easier. If we were using an R154, I don't think we would have had half the headache that we do with this setup, but having a 6-speed M3 gearbox is also pretty awesome. So pros and cons to everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, definitely give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell. All those things do help us grow the channel. And if you're looking to support us, check out Patreon or click the memberships button in the YouTube button below somewhere. And we've got our prototype
Trans-cross member?
Wow. I was gonna say, I forgot the company's name.
Freed Engineering, it reads
Yes.
on your shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.